we've referred to a few times during this research. Could you explain to us a little bit about the body of work or the research that's being performed and how that research is produced? So
Yes,
are there infant sleep centers where these infants are being observed, or maybe that question's a little bit too deep?
Yeah. Now, there's various different places. Dr. Hannah Kenny, who we talked about earlier, who has really been the lead in identifying this brainstem defect, she has a lab, and she is out of Harvard Medical School and Boston Children's Hospital. So she actually, for many, many years, has been studying the brainstems of babies that die of SIDS. A lot of the rebreathing of the CO2, that research has come out of Europe, where they've actually done case studies and thorough investigations of babies that have died to determine the environment that they were in before when they died. So it's kind of more passive research that is being done on babies that have died. The pacifier work, the rolling over work, and those kinds of things have been more case studies where they've actually studied babies, monitored babies, and compared those to case control studies and to see the difference. So there's really kind of a wide range. When we look at safe sleep, we do a lot of focus groups that help support the research. So those focus groups, are really talking to parents, trying to find out what they're doing, how they're caring for their babies. So we just keep, learning more and more based on the research that gives us the physiological part of it over to the actual practices and how they affect infant deaths.
So your next slide is very interesting. There's been lots of conversations around the notion of the family bed and children sleeping with their parents, and it seems as though you have a pretty pronounced opinion on that.
We do, and again, it's based on research. The most recent study, and actually there's been 2 studies that have backed it up, is that babies who sleep in adult beds are 40 times more likely to die than a baby that sleeps in a safe crib. So I really like to use the illustration here to kind of show the differences in what is safe for a baby and what is, the adult beds in America, our kind of North American adult beds where we have the duvets and the mattress covers and, a lot of that stuff, and that's how we're used to sleeping. But you can see if you put this baby into that environment, the risk of rebreathing the exhaled air and not getting enough fresh air is increased, as well as the risk of overheating the baby. We want babies to be close to their mom. There's no doubt that is good and it's beneficial. It's beneficial because the mom and baby regulate their breathing and things like that together, so having baby close is awesome. This scenario facilitates breastfeeding, which is very important. And breastfeeding in bed, I have another illustration that I wish I would have put in here and I didn't, is great. Bring your baby into your bed to cuddle with them and to bond with them and to nurse them or feed them a bottle, whatever you are doing with your baby. But when it's time to go to sleep, as soon as you can, get them right next to your bed in their own safe little space, and then we don't have to worry so much about SIDS or about accidental suffocation or about an accident happening while the baby is sleeping.
Great.
And, along that same vein, there's a tremendous increase in the number of babies that are dying while sleeping with a parent or somebody else on a couch or in an armchair. And, people might not always have a safe place to place their baby, but those kinds of things are also very dangerous. So we want baby close, but we want baby to have its own separate space. And I think, I use this analogy a lot. If we look at that picture, if we could get all parents, all caregivers to acknowledge and accept this as the safest kind of sleeping arrangement for babies, we could literally save thousands of lives for generations to come.
Now, is there any difference between having an infant in their own safe environment in your room versus having them in a separate nursery?
Yes, definitely. We recommend the room sharing. Again, because the closer baby is to mom, the more in tune they are to each other. And kind of like the pacifiers, we think that might keep babies from falling into as deep a sleep. So the babies that fall into the deeper sleep are actually the ones that we're more worried about, because if they have this defect, then they're not able to arouse. So definitely having the baby in the room with you is safer than having the baby in a room down the hall. And then again, obviously the most important thing is to, as we talked about earlier, educate everybody that takes care of your baby about your rules, what your rules are around sleep, around pacifiers, and make sure that that baby gets consistency of care. Because again, when they're in this critical growth period, if there's a change in what they're used to, it's going to increase their risk.
So we've hit our 30 minutes, and what we're trying to do is to make sure that we're able to present nuggets of data. I think, looks like we're having kind of a little bit of technical difficulty here, that we had a survey at the end. And what we'd like to do as we continue to develop our curriculum is to get feedback from our participants to help direct us to the next topics. We have about 18 presentations prepared that we'll deliver over the next few months. So I think at this time what we'd like to do is, number one, entertain some questions, and then number two, also get the survey up on the screen so that way we can have people follow up with some extra feedback for future content. So we've hit quite a few questions as we went through. Do we have any other questions that are queued up? So now would be a good time if you had a question to queue that up. Well, I just got a note that the survey is going to go out via email.
There was one question that came in. At what age would it be safe for a child to sleep in his own room?
Again, the kind of past 6 months is what we would recommend. We recommend that moms room share for at least 6 months. And then it is safe to put them in a separate room, but again, in a safe sleep environment. So keep them in their crib, keep everything out of the crib, but after 6 months, it's okay to move your baby to a separate room.
And I know that there was a question that we had queued earlier that talked about some specific monitors that also monitor respiration and heart rate. Have you found that there are any devices that help alert parents if their child shows signs of SIDS, or the technology is really not there yet?
Well, there is technology there, but it doesn't help.
Okay.
As we talked about earlier, these deaths just cannot be intervened with. Monitors have a great place, and they are great for helping parents, monitor the activity that's going on in the bedroom. They can even monitor the temperature in the bedroom, but we just want to make sure that parents aren't lulled into a false sense of security in thinking that, because a lot of them are sensor and they're movement monitors, that if that monitor goes off and the baby is dying of SIDS, they aren't going to be able to save the baby. So they still need to take all of the precautions. I mean, I can tell you from the parent of a baby that died of SIDS, I was pregnant within 2 months with my subsequent daughter, my only daughter of the 4. And so I talked to specialists and I talked to experts to determine about whether or not to monitor her. We did it for my peace of mind, but it was very critical that the doctors knew that I understood that it was not going to save their lives should a SIDS death occur, but it at least gave me the opportunity to do something, and to do what I could do to make sure that that didn't happen again. So monitors are great. They have their purpose, but we just need to make sure parents don't feel that they're going to be able to interrupt a SIDS death if it happens.
Got it. Well, Laura, this has been a great presentation, and I really appreciate your time and your dedication to this issue. Baby Age has been a supporter of First Candle for some time, and this is the work that you're doing is very important, and we really appreciate it. For those of you who would like to share this presentation with friends or replay this presentation, I would imagine by Thursday afternoon this presentation will be available in its entirety with the audio portion and the PowerPoint presentation on facebook.com/babyage. You'll need to go to the video tab, which is the third or fourth tab over on the top. But again, this whole presentation will be available there, most likely by Thursday. If you have any questions, you can, Laura has the phone number there for First Candle, and also there's an email address set up at BabyAge, which is content, C-O-N-T-E-N-T, @babyage.com, and that's where specialists at BabyAge can help answer your questions or provide you with more information for First Candle. And again, the URL for First Candle is www.firstcandle.org, and their phone number is 800-221-7437. And the phone number, if you'd like to call BabyAge, is 800-BabyAge. We make it simple. I want to thank everybody for joining the presentation today, and please look forward to our announcement for the rest of the curriculum for the year. Thank you very much, Laura, and thank you to the group at BabyAge who got this all to happen today. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.